As I mentioned, there are tons of vulnerability scanners in the market. These are some of the most popular. You have the open source vulnerability scanner called OpenVAS. You also have Nexpose by Rapid7, which is actually a vulnerability scanner that is very popular among pen testers out there. You also have Nessus by Tenable, you have Qualys, you have Retina, and you have many others, right? Now, some of these companies also have an enterprise continuous monitoring solution. Now, for example, Qualys has a cloud platform that allows organizations to perform continuous monitoring of their infrastructure by using on-premise agents in endpoints or in the cloud. Now, another company called Tenable, they also have a similar offering called Tenable.io. Now, all those are commercial versions of products, and I will not go over them here, right? So now if you're looking for a robust enterprise-wide scanning solution, those are definitely some of the top vendors out there. Now, you can also automate a lot of the vulnerability scanning by using the free OpenVAS vulnerability scanner. You can deploy it in multiple virtual machines across your organization and then scans portions of your network. So, for example, you actually may want to configure these as VMs, and basically we can classify them as scanning agents, right? And then configure them in a way that is actually feasible for your environment, and that you actually can schedule some of these scans throughout your corporation. Now, OpenVAS does not come with Kali Linux. So in this example, actually I already have it installed for this demonstration, but you can actually install it and set it up in 2 quick steps. You can just do a apt-get install OpenVAS, and once it is installed, invoke the OpenVAS-setup command, and it will basically automatically configure a basic install of OpenVAS. You also have Docker containers out there that folks actually have created that basically can completely accelerate the deployment of OpenVAS, right? Now, the guys from Offensive Security have a good tutorial at their website at the link that I'm actually sharing here. So let's log into OpenVAS. Here you can see the default dashboard that includes information about hosts that actually have already been scanned in the network task by severity, right? You also see information about the total number of CVEs or vulnerabilities in the OpenVAS database. You also see things like NVTs. And basically, NVT stands for Network Vulnerability Tests. Let's go over the Scans tab and then select Tasks. Now, you can use the wizard on the top left corner to do a quick scan. However, let's actually select the Advanced Task Wizard. So in this screen, you can actually give it a task name, then select the scan configuration from the pull-down menu. And by the way, all these scans configurations can be modified in the Configurations tab. But for this example, I'm actually just doing a full and fast scan. Now you can enter one IP address or several IP addresses by separating them with a commas. Now you can also start the scan immediately or schedule it at a later time. You can also do authenticated scans. Now, in order to do so, you actually have to select SSH or SMB credentials. Now, OpenVAS also supports VMware ESXi authenticated scans as well, right? So in case you actually have a VMware environment within your corporation. You can also configure OpenVAS to email the report to a specific email address as well. You can also take advantage of the OpenVAS client. And also, the guys from OpenVAS have created a management protocol called the OpenVAS Management Protocol. And actually, you can use these to interact with OpenVAS from the command line and allow you to automate many tasks. You can do your own, or you can create your own scripts to actually schedule scans, to discover devices, and many other things. Now here I'm actually sharing the OpenVAS Management Protocol documentation website. Now you can install the CLI client and other utilities by following the instructions on this GitHub repository that I'm actually sharing here. In my case, I already have installed the utilities on my Kali Linux box. So let's actually see it in action. Let's create a target host with the CLI. Here I'm actually creating a target called Metasploitable. And it's actually a Metasploitable machine that I have in my lab with the IP address of 10.1.1.14. Now we're connecting via TLS to the machine running OpenVAS, which in this case is 10.1.1.13. Now once I log in and I send the command, you actually see a status response with the resource ID. Now if you go back to the web console, you see that the new target was actually created in the system. Now let's actually go back to the CLI and let's create a task to perform a full scan against that host. First, I need to know the scan configuration ID so I can actually, I can do it via the CLI, right? Now you can get it from the scan config page, as I'm actually showing here, but you can also get it from the CLI, and let's see how to do that. Basically, you use the getconfigs XML tag or XML command in this case, and let's actually use that command and send it to the OpenVAS server. And there you go. You see all the configurations that are actually out there in the system, right? So let's actually create a task to scan that host. Now we're going to use the target ID and the configuration ID that we actually got from the previous commands. And then let's actually send this to the OpenVAS server to actually obtain or to actually create the new task. And there you go. You can actually see, right away that a new task has actually been created. Now let's actually go to the web console and verify that actually task was actually created. And there you go. You can actually see that the new task called Scan Metasploitable has been created in the system. Now let's go back to the CLI and let's start the task, right? Basically, we created a task, but we haven't started it. And we can actually do that with the task XML tag followed by the actual task ID. And basically, we got that ID on the previous command output. Awesome. We got the confirmation and the report ID. So now let's go back to the web console and let's actually confirm that we actually have started the task. And there you go. You can actually see in the dashboard that the task is actually running. Now there's another utility that has a lot more features than the simple, CLI client. And the tool is actually called the GVM PyShell. And you can use this tool to create your own scripts with commands from the GVM lib or the library for Python. And then, actually in this case, we're using Python version 3. So it's very important to remember because this will not work with earlier versions of Python. So let's see it in action. In this example, I actually created a file with an OpenVAS management protocol script that will get the current GVMP version, and also it will retrieve all the tasks that actually are in the system. I will run the PyShell command using TLS, and then I specify the host followed by the script name that actually I call this script test.gmp. Then I log in with my credentials, and there you go. You can see the version and the task that is actually currently running on the system. As you can see, this is a very powerful environment since you can actually interact with OpenVAS via the CLI, create your own scripts, and automate scanning throughout all your organization, right? So you can deploy them, as I mentioned before, throughout the organization, and then create a lot of automation for you to actually, do a continuous monitoring of your organization. Of course, the commercial scanners have this capability and actually even more, but I wanted to give you a good reference of a free solution that does not require, for you to actually spend thousands of dollars to continuously scan and monitor your network. And basically by deploying this, you can also develop an understanding on how to perform this type of task in an automated way, and then probably potentially you can actually migrate to some of those commercial products at a later time, right? But again, these actually free open source scanners actually nowadays have a really good capabilities that allows you to do many things and create scripts and automate scannings throughout your organization.